So let me tell you how the day started today, for those who weren't with us this morning. Those of us that do are smoking, and others are just having their morning coffee as we are getting the motorhome ready to leave the park in Marathon. And I look down the road and there's about 25 kids walking down the road, and they have letters in their hands. Their teacher had them write letters to the premier, and they were bringing the letters for us to put in their bag to take to Toronto. So when we're driving down the highway, I have a choice. I can either listen to Peter babble on the walkie-talkie, or I can find something to read. So I read the letters. And they're written by what? I don't know, grade 6? Grade 8?
7 and 8.
7 and 8. Grade 7 and 8 kids. And if you read through the letters, there are about 3 themes which actually came up here today. The first theme is interesting, the comment of Lynn, don't talk about it. One letter starts with, Dad came home early from work today, and I asked him why he's home early. And he looked at me and said, it's complicated. And then went on to talk about what the impact of her father losing the job was. So the first theme, I think, that came through all the letters was what it meant when, in most cases, men in these mills lost their job. The second theme that went through the letter was, it very seldom said, we have less money. The letter said things like, Mom said she doesn't think I can go to camp this year. And that's sort of the economic impact. And the third theme, and this was in every single letter, was what it means when their friends move away. They may have to move away, or when their father is away working. You know, I live in Toronto. So, you know, this is all quite amazing to me. Actually, I feel like moving here, to be honest with you. But as I've said over and over, she stops. I've been to Northern Ontario a lot with my job. A lot more in the last 4 or 5 years. We had more of this economic crisis going on up here. When I would go back to Toronto, nobody was paying attention. Like, nobody was paying attention. As I've said to other groups, if you've got no life, like I don't, go on to Hansard someday, the Ontario legislature, and type in forestry. It'll bring you up all of the questions that have been asked on the forestry issue. Most of them will be from Power Canada. The response from the government is, back when all this started, oh, it's just a little bit of a dip, everything's going to be fine. And then they move on to talking for about a year and a half about this $1 billion fund, which I don't know if anybody knows anything about it. They're putting money into forestry. But there's never been a real recognition that there was a problem up here, until a bunch of banks started to lose money in the United States, and all of us have a problem. Another thing that I'm sure is striking our whole group was a kid who read his letter in Marathon. And at the end of the letter, he was making the point that it's okay to help the auto industry, but we need help too. At the end of the letter, he said, I think he wrote it to Mr. Harper. He said near the end of the letter, I don't know if you've noticed, Mr. Harper, but I'm not writing this letter on a car, I'm writing it on paper. And he said, we need paper, and we need jobs. And I don't want my dad and mom to have to move away, and I don't want to leave my friends. All of that to say, there are a lot of things I could talk about that I've heard. But if there's one thing that's clear, is when we go to Toronto, we should certainly talk about forestry and resource-based jobs. But there should be programs and strategies in place to keep small towns viable. Because once people move from these places, these small towns, it's very hard for them to come back. First secondly, as people leave, you lose the resources to build a community. So I guess all I can say to you is that we will certainly bring that message. I really want to thank you for your comments. I want to thank the mayor for coming and his comments, and each and every one of you. And I hope to see the woman deliver the letter, the last letter
You will
in Sault Ste. Marie today. And I really want to also thank each and every one of you and leave you with this thought. And I've said this before, and people who are traveling with us probably know what I'm going to say. But when times are tough, when people lose their jobs, you get incredibly isolated. I mean, it takes you away from a whole circle of friends. And if there's one thing we can do as we travel across the province, it's to get people together, to talk about the problem, and to reinforce the fact that we aren't alone. So what we're doing, if you're following our tour on the internet, or Twitter, or Blogger, or whatever all the rest of the stuff is, it's actually a bunch of dots on a map. But what we're really doing is drawing a line through all those dots. And I think that's the primary goal of this. And I mean, we'll see, I've written the Premier has asked to meet with him when we arrive in Toronto. We'll see what he says. But I can assure you that if he doesn't meet with me, agree to meet with me, he will have to face me, because I'll find him, because I've got all of these letters I promised people that I would deliver to Toronto for him. So again, thank you very, very much. This has really been inspirational. I know I'm going to want you to join me in welcoming our whole group. Of course, you know, Brenda Opson, she's being called. Peter and Lou and Don and Sandra and Vern from down south who have come up here to help get us through the province. And we've just lost a whole bunch of steel workers who are with us. They've gone on